So as America moves out of the COVID pandemic, the country is gripped by a new epidemic. A perilous surge in crime, and cities across the country have seen an alarming rise in homicides and shootings, including places like Portland, where murders are up over 500%. And now, to throw more gas on the fire, while crime rates are climbing, there's a mass exodus of police forces nationwide. Law enforcement retirements are up 45% and resignations near 20%. Anti-cop sentiment grips the country, and it's gotten so bad that, for example, Asheville, North Carolina, a city with 90,000 residents, has lost over 1/3 of their police force. So how can we end this troubling trend? Here now to react is Seattle radio host Jason Rantz. I'll ask you, Jason, how we find an end to this, but also, if we do not, where does this take us? Compromised, smaller? Look, worse police forces. Who will choose to be a cop at the end of this entire movement?
I couldn't tell you who would want to be a cop right now in some of these big cities, because no one decided to become a cop so they can be villainized in this story that activists are telling. They're supposed to be the heroes, and we know that by their actions, they're not the villains. And yet, despite the data, we get this talking point coming from progressives, coming from the left, and a lot of media outlets are just running with it. And so people are wondering, do I want to put on this uniform, risk my life, risk not showing up back to my family at the end of a shift just so I can get attacked both figuratively and sometimes literally by folks on the left? It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And we know how this is going to end if it continues going down this path, which is more crime and less protected cities.
Yeah, so you're talking about, let's be honest here, mediocre pay. You're talking about possibly losing qualified immunity, meaning you can get personally sued. You're talking about putting your life on the line every day. You're talking about administration and politicians making your job harder to actually succeed at. And you're talking about being vilified in your local community when you come home. You're going to either have people who have just such an amazing innate sense of duty, or really bottom of the barrel individuals who will be applying to be cops. You'll have those two dichotomies. Let me show you this, though, Jason. This is Portland PD. So they tweeted this. Apparently there were some protests over a shooting, right, the last couple of nights in Portland. Yep. And those protests turned into riots and damage and vandalism because they suspected the shooting involved a black individual. So Portland put out this tweet. There's erroneous information being circulated on social media regarding the officer-involved shooting in the Lloyd district. We can confirm the subject involved is an adult white male. No one else was injured. So am I reading this right, Jason? Everybody calm down. We shot a white guy.
Yeah, because the Antifa thugs and the other lunatics who go out there, they don't really care unless they can see a black person or a Latino person to exploit for their own personal gain. Now, what is particularly notable in what happened last night, this is the first time police in Portland had to deal with the Antifa lunatics without the rapid response team, because as you know, last week they decided all to resign, sick and tired of the way they were being treated, and even one of their members prosecuted by the Multnomah County DA, who has given a pass to all the Antifa lunatics who are attacking cops all the time. That these cops make the arrest, they get sent to Mike Schmidt. Mike Schmidt says, yeah, I'm not really going to pursue this. But then he goes after a cop who was doing his job. So you've got a lot of people who are truly upset. And Antifa is making this worse. Because if you saw anything that they were doing online last night, they were just making stuff up. And the intent is to get people riled up and then commit acts of violence. And I do think that Portland is living on borrowed time at this point, because at some point this is going to become bigger. The cops are not going to be staffed to handle this. And that's going to be a significant issue that the city's going to have to deal with.
And it won't stop at Portland, by the way. It's just the most acute, just the most extreme. Jason Rantz, always good to talk to you.
Thanks, Will. Appreciate it.
All right, so on